Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Today we will discuss primary processing of poultry. Different stages of processing and the equipment commonly used in preparing oven ready carcass and cut portion. Although there are still many plants largely in lesser developed markets which process birds by hands using individual machines to which carcass are fed manually. Most higher volume plants now use processing system based on a moving overhead conveyor. In all cases, the level of automation will depend on hourly throughputs and the availability and cost of labor. Regardless of the levels of automation, the process will usually be split into following individual departments like live bird supply, stunning, killing, scalding and plucking, evisceration and giblet handling, chilling, whole bird selection by weight and quality, whole bird packing, cut up, deboning and the packaging of cut and deboned product, freezing and chilling storage. Line capacities usually vary from 500 to over 10,000 birds per hour. Processing begins once the birds are ready to be caught and transported to the processing plant. Rough handling during catching and poor transportation conditions will result in a high count of birds' death on arrival at the processing plant and in substantial downgrading and loss of yield. It is therefore important that animal welfare and optimum working conditions for catching personnel are taken fully in consideration when choosing the transport units, working practices and transport vehicles. Containers and crates used for transporting the birds. Birds can be caught and loaded into number of different transport units. Most common are plastic crates, modular steel frames with removable open top plastic drawers, modular multi-tier stainless steel containers. Plastic crates have either solid or perforated floors, while crates with solid floors are cheaper to buy and prevent droppings from one layer of the bird from contaminating the birds in the lower layer. There are several reasons why perforated floors are often preferred. These are: there is better ventilation of the birds, temperature conditions are more favorable, especially in summer, and respiratory moisture from a bird is discharged so that the birds can remain dry throughout the journey. These features help to maintain bird quality and reduce the incidence of death on arrival or dead on arrival. At the processing plant, plastic crates are mostly but not always used in lower capacity plants. These are filled manually and loaded individually on the transport vehicle. Modular transport units such as steel frames with removable open top plastic drawers and multi-tier steel containers can be filled either manually or automatically and are loaded by forklifter trucks onto the transport vehicles. Plastic crates are still widely used in many countries. Modular systems are becoming increasingly prominent. They save labor, improve animal welfare by reducing the risk of damage to the birds during catching, improve working conditions for catching personnel, and because the job is done more quickly, ensure bird reach the processing plant as speedily as possible. Modular systems give fewer DOS and fewer cost downgrading. Although most birds worldwide are still caught and placed in the transport unit by hand, labor-saving automatic catching machines are becoming even more common. European Union legislation requires that the space allowance is at least 160 cm square per kg of the live bird. In hot climate, it is advisable to increase this to 170 cm square per kg. Transport vehicles. Optimum condition during transport from the growing shed to the processing plants are of vital importance in ensuring that the bird arrive at the processing plant in good shape. Birds are grown commercially in all climates and in extremes of the heat and the cold. Transport module and vehicle design must allow good ventilation and therefore dissipation of heat from the birds during transport. Care must also be taken to protect the birds during extreme weathers. In this context, transport vehicle must be provided with suitable curtains or even solid panels. Vehicle design must also ensure that transport modules can be loaded quickly and stored safely. Arrival at the plant and the live bird LAIRAGE. No matter how well these activities are carried out, catching and transportation cause stress for birds. It is therefore important that they should have time to settle down in comfortable condition before being hung on the processing line. Stressed birds process badly and processing yield will suffer. The live bird stores at the processing plant, the LAIRAGE, should be big enough to store at least 2 hours production. It should allow the birds to be protected from the weather in a well-ventilated environment with subdued lighting. Hanging of birds on the processing line. The next step is to hang the birds on the first of the several processing lines, the killing line. Full plastic crates are destacked either manually or automatically and are placed onto a conveyor system, which takes them to the operatives, who will remove the birds from the crates and hang them on the shankles. Full and empty crates are weighed to determine the live bird weight, and the empty crates given a thorough wash before being restacked and either manually or automatically cleaned. Crate washing can be done either manually or automatically. Modular systems include a degree of mechanization into this process. Mostly, automatic cleaning systems are predominant in high-capacity processing plants. With modular frames with removable open-top drawers, the full drawers are pushed automatically one by one out of the frame onto a conveyor system, which take them to the operatives, who will remove the birds from the open-top drawers and shankle them. Full and empty drawers are weighed to determine bird weight. Both drawers and frames are given a thorough automatic wash. The washed drawers are then put back into the washed frame. Full multi-tier containers are placed by a forklifter truck onto a conveyor system, which take them to an automatic unloading device. The doors on the tire are opened automatically and the container tilted. The bird exits the container via sliding plates onto an enclosed conveyor system, which takes them to a rotating carousel onto which they are shankled by the hang-on operatives. Empty containers are washed, if necessary, disinfected automatically. Full and empty crates are weighed. A dust extraction system ensures that hang-on operatives work in a dust-free environment. Clean crates or containers are stored separately from full crates or containers. In this case, the LAIRAGE or live bird arrival area can be divided into two sections, dirty and clean area. Transport vehicles will have been washed down before being loaded with clean crates or containers for another run. Stunning, killing, scalding and plucking of the bird. Except where slaughter is performed ritually. Regulation insists that bird must be stunned before application of bleeding cut. Stunning renders bird insensitive to pain, allowing them to be killed humanly. Until relatively recently, stunning was always carried out electrically in a water bath stunner using 50 to 60 Hz ply. However, demands in Europe, supermarkets, and animal welfare lobbies, however, led to increase the amperage received by each bird. High amperage at 50 to 60 will often result in an increased incidence of bone and an unacceptable blood spots in valuable breast and thigh fillets. To combat these undesirable side effects, processors now commonly use either high frequency electric stunners at 300 Hz and above or modified atmospheric